So what are the muscles that we want to focus in on in our strength training program as an athlete? There are certain muscle groups that contribute to a stance we call the athletic stance. And what is the athletic stance? The athletic stance is a slightly shoulder width foot position. Knees are bent at about 45 degrees. Chest is out, low back is in, hands are up. So essentially I could be a linebacker, I could be an offensive lineman, I could be a guard in basketball guarding. If my hands are down here, I'm a hockey player. If my hands are here, I'm a baseball player. If my racket's here, I'm a tennis player. If my hands are just running, I'm a soccer player. So for all ground-based sports, and this is the basic athletic stance. So all things start and end from that position. So that stance incorporates a certain muscle group, and that athletic stance incorporates a muscle group we like to call the athletic universal muscles. And they are the glutes, the hamstrings, or the bicep femoris, the core, which is the abdomen, and the low back. And that's really the focus of our training when we're involved in ground-based activity sports. So when we're running and jumping, skating, skiing, any sport that is a ground-based activity, those are the muscles that are predominantly utilized in our performance. So therefore, that's the muscle group we really want to focus in on our strength training, because those muscles, when we increase the strength and power in that muscle group, it's going to give us a greater likelihood of running faster, jumping higher, jumping further, being able to have, so say for skiing, it's a lot of up and down and around, in and out of that position, but you still have to maintain a static position as much as you can. So that's strength endurance critical here. Okay, so those are the muscle groups we want to focus in on. And when we write up our programs, we're going to call that any movement that focuses in on those particular muscles, the core lifts. Not to be confused with core when we talk about the abdomen and low back, but core in the sense that that's the core of our work. Any other movements, so bench pressing, rows, and things of that nature, we're going to call auxiliary lifts. So the core lifts, such as a squat, cleans, deadlifts, snatches, anything that involves a ground-based activity, those are going to be called our core lifts, and then we'll follow with our auxiliary lifts. So for instance, the typical workout during a strength phase may look something like a dynamic warm-up, so we're nice and heated up, body's heated up. Then we're going to squat 2 sets of 8 at 70%, 3 sets of 8 at 80%. And then we're going to move on to, say, one-arm snatches with a dumbbell, and we're going to do, again, 2 sets of 5 reps at 70, and then 3 sets of 8 at 80%. And then we'll finish up with one more core, which would be, let's say, deadlifts, same protocol, 2 times 3, 2 times 5, 3 times 8, and that's going to be our core work. Then we're going to do our auxiliary work, some pull-ups, some bench pressing, one-arm rows, some hyperextensions, things of that nature. But the core lifts are the ones that involve the athletic muscles. And when we talk about ground-based activity, this is really why it's important to understand one thing. Ground-based activity is a multi-joint, multi-muscle activity. By that I mean, when I'm running, I'm not just using my glutes. I'm using my glutes to propel me, to create the impulse. I'm using my quads to bring the leg back under my body for the next stride. I'm using my arms to create motion, tight core to keep a good posture. All right, so there's a lot of activity. That's why when we design these protocols, we want to shy away as best we can anything that we do in the weight room that is not a ground-based activity where our feet are on the floor and I'm in an upright position. So leg presses really are not an athletic movement. That's a bodybuilding movement. Because what sport can someone explain to me that you're laying down in an inclined position, you're pushing your legs out like that, and your hands are holding onto handles? Doesn't happen. Even leg extensions, okay? They are very, very bad thing to do as an athlete because it's single muscle, single joint activity, and the neural pathway can confuse the pathways we need in athletics for running and jumping. It's a very important concept to understand. So our core work, when we talk about core, when we start to write up our programs, those are the ground-based lifting activities that include the predominant athletic group of muscles. Our auxiliary lifts are going to be shoulders and chest and more upper body than lower body. and then of course our low back and abdomen region.